up to see the request part. To cover, oh yeah, here. To include private sector companies other than HMI members. You know, that is the reason why I added and companies, International Meteorological Organization, companies and active in AI and ML development. And those active companies are invited to the upcoming WMO AI conference in Abu Dhabi and so on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see the floor is being sought by Magnani de Oliveri. So the floor is open for you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah.
I'm willing to reopen the previous document 4.1 on item 3.10, where the wording PR and HA should pay attention. The wording pay attention is very open. And also, we propose that compliance checking with national legislation must be sought by developers or non-traditional providers, inverting the process described in that paragraph. That paragraph asks for the PRs and HAs to look after developers. It's very difficult for a PR goes in the field and find people that's developing. So we ask for the audience to engage in this discussion.
So thank you very much for that comment. We've already adopted that particular resolution. So that's the situation we're in at the moment. So there was a period of time when we discussed this. So we have adopted it formerly. So unfortunately, it's too late to add this change at this point. Okay, so thank you very much. We might revert back to the discussion in relation to the delegates paragraph and the requests paragraph. So we might just put those on screen, please, because we need to move forward on this particular document. So, and if it was maybe possible to view them together. Thank you. So the floor is open for any comments at this point. If there aren't any comments, then we can take this text as accepted. Okay, so everybody's now comfortable with the delegates and requests paragraphs. Right then, we might move on to the next section, please, as in the next set of changes, proposed changes. So that's the end of that section. Okay, so if that's all the end of if that's the end of that section, then I will, with your permission, move to adopt. So recommendation 4.1/2. Unless anybody has any objection. Thank you. We're just being sure. So right then, so we'll take that. We're going to take the draft recommendation 4.1/2 to be adopted. Thank you very much. So next we move to the President of INFCOM, Michel Jean, to introduce the next draft resolution. That's 4.1/2, and this is on the establishment of the Joint Advisory Group on Artificial Intelligence, whereby Executive Council is invited to establish the JAG on AI as a joint coordination mechanism among INFCOM and CERCOM and the Research Board and indeed the private sector. So I'll hand over to Michelle to give the presentation. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Chair. Good afternoon, colleagues. You will recall at the beginning of our discussion this morning that there were two aspects where we were seeking Executive Council member guidance. The policy aspect, and we went through that, and I would like to thank the member of Executive Council for the rich discussion that we had this morning. In my view, this is probably the most important piece of guidance that we got since the discussion we had on data policy. So I'm really appreciative of the work that has been done by many of you and by the contribution of all. So thank you for that. The policy guidance is one aspect, but we do need to organize the technical work, and this is what we will be doing. So draft resolution 4.1/2 is to establish a joint advisory group on artificial intelligence. And the justification for it is that there is an overall coordination requirement for activities on AI, ML within our WMO community. The objective is really to steer the joint efforts for effective and efficient development and implementation of innovative technologies for WMO members. And we should not minimize that second aspect there. It's a very important one to support the Executive Council Capacity Development Panel and the Science Advisory Panel in promoting harmonized training to WMO members and developing the AI/ML related recommendations for the WMO strategic plan for the next period, 2028 to 2031. So essentially what we're asking you is to, having examined the terms of reference of the Joint Advisory Group on Artificial Intelligence, you will decide to establish the Joint Advisory Group on Artificial Intelligence as a joint coordination mechanism among INFCOM, the Service Commission, the Research Board, and the private sector there. So I'll just stop there to give the time to members to actually react to the document. So thank you very much for this.
Thank you very much. Before we move to the document, I'll open the floor for any general comments or queries or observations that people might have. So, Sarah Jones, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. Just briefly to say, we think it's very important to have this sort of coordinating body, and also emphasize the importance of looking at where coordination is already taking place in the different regions. We've mentioned the European examples, and there will be other examples around the world, and to make sure that those are represented so we don't end up with extra work on coordination. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Would anybody else like to make a comment before we move to the document itself? Nope. Right then. So we might open the document and start with the suggested inputs and changes from the various members. So the first one relates to recalling two. So that appears to be from Luca Bione. So I'll hand over to you to give a quick explanation as to what that is about.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. We support the establishment of the Joint Advisory Group. It is also worth highlighting ongoing activities led by CERCOM in the field of AI. CERCOM has been monitoring a pilot project in collaboration with the private partner, Google, and the National Hydrological Services of 4 countries. This Google AI pilot study has been referenced in numerous WMO documents, including CERCOM3, EC78, Array 119, Array 419, and the current INF 4.1. And the Global Riverine Flood Prediction Pilot also takes this ongoing study into account as decided by EC78. So it is up to the WMO Vision and Strategy for Hydrology, along with its associated plan of action, endorsed through Resolution 4, Congress Extraordinary 2021, that is referenced here, that assign the Service Commission, through its Standing Committee on Hydrological Services, the mandate to lead the development of guiding principles and agreements with the private sector in support of flood-related early warning system risk management. AI is explicitly mentioned in activity B.1.3, and I think there is a need to correct the reference to the activity. So we have put the reference to this activity where relevant. Thank you for considering this suggestion.
Thank you very much. What's the correct reference to the activity? Is it B.1.
Yes,
Yeah.
B.1.3.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we might correct that now, please. B. Yep. Is that correct? Yes. Has anybody any comments they'd like to make in relation to that proposed intervention? I don't see anybody, so I will move on then to the next suggested change. So moving on. So we have another intervention which seems very similar. It's the same explanation. So I'll just read out the text. So the Commission of Weather and Climate Hydrological, Marine and Related Environmental Services and Applications has designated a Vice President as the lead focal point on AI and is carrying out, through Decision 7 of CERCOM 3, hydrological services pilot activities in the field of digital transformation in the domain of hydrology and water resources, including flood forecasting, focusing on the deployment of new technologies across the hydrology value chain and the approaches for engaging in this domain with various stakeholders, including the private sector. Has anybody any comments or suggested changes they'd like to make to that particular modification? I don't see anybody seeking the floor, so we might move on to the next suggested change, please. And we have small change from Ken Graham, and we also have another comment, which I think in item 7 there, we're looking at that consistency point, which we've covered already, which is the hydrological marine point. So we don't need to cover that. So I'm suggesting we take that as accepted, because we've already discussed that at length. So in point number 7, I'll pass over to Ken Graham's advisor, maybe to kind of give your rationale for removing the word apparently, please.
Sure. So it just implies that something's in question. I think we all saw and heard yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yesterday that indeed there are crucial roles and being played here by the private sector and the academic community. So that's all. Just remain positive.
Thank you very much. So unless anybody has any objection, we'll take that paragraph as accepted. Thank you. Then the next noting further paragraph, we have some changes there. These changes were made by the Secretariat, so we can take those as accepted, I suppose. And they're based on, it's for consistency with this morning's discussions. So I'll just read it out, noting further that the WMO is about to issue a call to all stakeholders to collaborate on the development of AI and machine learning, environmental monitoring and prediction technologies, tools and applications. So this is to be consistent with the discussions that we had and the input from on the title of the overall document. So now we might move on to the next set of changes, please. Here we have a change from Dr. Nomura. So this relates to the and other relevant WMO bodies, and also we have another intervention in invites. So I might ask you to address the suggested change in decides and your proposed change in relation to invites. So the floor is yours, Dr. Nomura.
Thank you, Chair. Director, we have to bear in mind that any members of the advisory group should contribute as individuals, not as the representatives of the organization to which they belong. Therefore, it is not appropriate to invite representatives of private entities, even as observers. Instead, members should nominate suitable AI experts from across the sectors, including the private sector, through the PRs to contribute to the group. This point should be clearly stated in the resolution and also in the competition section of the terms of reference. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anybody like to comment or make any queries in relation to that particular intervention? Penny, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And just to say, I'm supportive of that text and I'm supportive of the establishment of the group. I'm not quite sure whether to make this point now or in the annex, but I'm not quite clear how the JAG is intended to fit into the wider governance structure. It clearly is wide-reaching across many bodies. And I think that Mr. Nomura later in the annex has put a thing saying it will report annually to Executive Council, but is it a group of council? I'd just like to know, I don't know where in the document to articulate that, but I don't see it articulated quite as I would wish. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle, you might address that, please.
No, thank you. Thank you very much for the question, Professor Endersby. We've done actually that in the past. It is something that is part of the technical commission, but because it implies a number of intergovernmental or non-intergovernmental bodies, then we report on a regular basis to Executive Council. So you will recall, I mean, for some of us, me in particular, who are old enough, in the early days of, the establishment of the WIPs, this is exactly the kind of mechanism that we have put in place. So it is part of it is in the technical commission, but reporting to Executive Council and getting that back and forth interaction.
Might I very quickly come back? Are you happy that that is reflected in the text as it's written then, Michelle, John, if you don't mind?
Which part of the text are you referring? Oh, right there. Okay. No, I think it's
or in the annex. And I just don't quite see it anywhere in the text, which is why I'm uncertain where to make this intervention.
Okay. I see okay. Now I see where the confusion is. Blah, 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 decides to establish. I think we should make an explicit reference there just for clarity purposes. Absolutely. So I'll ask, I can make it now. Other relevant bodies with the terms of reference provided in the annex to the present resolution, comma, and providing report on an annual basis to Executive Council. It is in the annex. So if it's in the annex and you're satisfied with it, that's fine. Thank you. We don't need to repeat it.
Thank you very much. So next we have Dong Yong Chang has the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I fully support the Japanese suggestion on the inclusion of the nomination by the by country members, but I also I think that nomination by relevant WMO bodies, subsidiary bodies, also very valuable. So we should look at the both sides. So can I just look at the terms of reference on composition together? We have to look at together composition.
Do you take this?
Yeah. In the composition, the Nomura suggests the deletion of the parts, but I also. But as I mentioned, the nomination by the relevant WMO bodies is also valuable. So I therefore would like to suggest a change in the last part to which read nomination by relevant WMO subsidiary body instead of deleting the text of last part. So we can think about both sides. Okay.
What's the suggested text you would like to include?
In the after the value cycle,
Yes.
Including those nominated by WMO relevant subsidiary bodies.
Okay. So instead of having INFCOM, CERCOM, etc., you have including those nominated relevant subsidiary bodies, I think was the wording.
Okay.
Is that what you said?
Yep.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you very much. Right then, we'll just go back up to the last part of. So we have decides and invites. Please, we might just go back up and then we can go back into the annex. Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to take the floor in relation to these changes? Roar Scallon, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. So it's a bit related to the two last interventions, and in particular the one from Penny Endersby. So this group, which I fully support, will report to the Executive Council. Is the implication also then that when we have nominated members, it is the Executive Council that decides on the appointments? If so, I'm a bit afraid that we will lose 1 year here. So I wonder if we can find an easier way out. We need this to get going quite soon. Thanks.
Thank you. Michelle, you might address that question, please.
Well, thank you, Roar, for raising the point, because I wholeheartedly agree with you that we should make it as agile and nimble as possible. So on the one hand, because of the policy implications, as president of the commission, I want to have that interaction with Executive Council, not so much for the technical aspect, but there could be what I call overflow of issues, from technical in the policy domain. On the other hand, probably it would actually be easier if it was under the purview of the intergovernmental body that is a technical commission, actually, which would allow us to move faster in terms of approval through the management group. So I'm not, I don't have a PhD in WMO processes there. So I'm seeking the views of the member, but for me, I fully support if we could have something that is more agile and you have a proposal to make, I will go for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So we're seeking guidance on how this bag is going to be filled with participants. So the floor is open for your views. Amanda.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a conundrum because, of course, the research board is not part of INFCOM and will be fielding nominations for experts as well that would go through the permanent representatives, but may not be they would be part of the research expert network database as opposed to the database you draw from. And that introduces a complexity. I also think that the visibility of the products of this joint advisory group to the Executive Council and Congress and the members is really critical. And so how to balance these needs of holding this joint advisory group as being a nimble and perhaps somewhat fluid entity, but at the same time answering appropriately to the members is going to be complex. But I'm not sure sitting inside of INFCOM is the way to solve it.
So Sarah Jones.
Thank you very much. My recommendation would be that the Executive Council asks the presidents of the technical commissions and the chair of the research board to agree on the composition of this group. And for this special case, I would request that, what is that noise? I would request that the research board, if they are seeking to include participants from the expert register, still seek the approval of the PR, because it is a joint body of the two technical commissions and the research board. It is jointly chaired by INFCOM and research board, so an alternative would be just president of INFCOM and chair of research board agrees on it, but I think it is a good status to have CERCOM, INFCOM and research board agreeing on the composition and ensuring that they have PR approval for all of the experts.
Okay, so we have a specific proposal from, thank you very much, Sarah, that the Executive Council requests the President of CERCOM, INFCOM and the Chair of the Research Board to design the composition of this joint advisory group, and full stop. And in particular, the request that the chair of the research board ensure that any members from the research board should be appointed in coordination with the relevant PR. Yeah, okay. So this is requests, I suppose. We can refine it later, so we might. So the Executive Council requests the President of CERCOM, the President of INFCOM, the President of INFCOM and the Chair of the Research Board to agree on the composition of the JAG-AI, full stop. Full stop. And, well, hold on a second now. And requests, well, sorry, in addition, it is requested that any appointments from the research board are carried out in coordination with the relevant PR. Full stop. So that text is available for refinement. Floor is open for any comments that people might have. Sorry, Amanda, floor is yours.
Sorry, just a friendly amendment that I think this is excellent, and certainly we try and appoint all of our subsidiary bodies in coordination with the relevant PR, but I would just make the amendment that appointments from the research expert network, it's actually that database rather than the board.
Research Expert Network, and you did mention that earlier on, yes. Has anybody any comments on that particular piece of text? Thanks to Sarah Jones for her suggestion for a solution. That's very good. Right then, I'm not seeing anybody else accepting. Sorry, Albert.
Thank you so much, Chair. And for me, when I start thinking of involving the PRs, we have established the commission. We have a network where the PRs will nominate the experts on it, and they start working in the technical commission, but also the research board. So they have already an approval of the PRs. So now I'm seeing that right now we're again requesting the PRs to again nominate some experts. So I'm seeing there's some duplication maybe, but maybe the secretariat will be able to help me, because I think if we are going to set up a joint advisory group, it's for the INFCOM, CIRCOM, and Research Board. And if they need some experts, they will be able to invite the experts. So I don't see the need then to further give them extra tasks right now, since we need to move forward. And I think it's already established by the Technical Commission. They have the kind of freedom that they will be able to work in this area. And going back to the discussion of several years ago about establish the YGOS, that was actually the idea behind it. Let the technical commissions come together and advise the...
Okay, I've captured the
Yes.
point, and I've got two presidents waiting to give some feedback.
Okay,
I'll hand over
thanks
to
so
the
much.
president of CIRCOM first.
Yeah, Albert's correct. We don't need that last provision. The rules of procedure for the technical commissions clearly lay out the process. If a PR has already made a nomination on the expert network, whether that be for the technical commissions or the research board, what we would always do is we'd make the selection, and in line with the rules of procedure, we would then obviously consult with the PR just to notify them of our decision. So yeah, that's a redundant last bit. We don't need it.
Thank
Keep
you.
it simple.
Nothing to say from Michael. So thumbs up from Sarah. Your flag is up, Sarah. Yep. So we just delete that sentence. Thank you very much, Albert. And we're leaning into the need for speed right then. So just 1 second, please.
Deleting what's my
Okay. Right then, moving on, we might move into the annex, please, and I'll hand over. We have a lot of edits from Dr. Nomura, so rather than going through them one at a time, it might be a good idea to go to Dr. Nomura first, maybe explain the overall essence behind this set of changes. Over to you. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman. The reporting line of the Joint Advisory Group seems unclear. Since AI is considered to have impacts on both the technical and the policy aspects, the group should play its roles under the guidance of the Executive Council. That is the point. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the modifications of the text have been focused on achieving that reporting structure. Okay, thank you very much. So we've got suggested changes here, so we'll go through them. So the Joint Advisory Council on Artificial Intelligence will provide, under the guidance of the Executive Council, oversight, coordination and monitoring of WMO activities in relation to, I'm just making sure I'm reading the same thing, the development and implementation of artificial intelligence technologies to the meteorological and hydrological value chain. Now I've incorporated value cycle. So I will continue reading this. Sorry, I'm on two different screens at the same time. Among technical commissions, in line with Resolution 2, Congress 19, WMO Strategic Plan 2024 to 2027, and the draft resolution #/1 Extraordinary Council in October, WMO Statement on Collaboration in the application of artificial intelligence and machine learning. So has anybody any objections? And we'll come to Luca's suggested change, which seems reasonable. It's just adding on hydrological. So if anybody has any comments in relation to the first paragraph, please take the floor. Albert.
Thank you, Chair. Very short. We started looking at a joint advisory group, but we don't find any wording of advisory anymore. We start looking at the oversight, coordination, and monitoring. Do we need to have some kind of advice, the Executive Council? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Albert. Tatsuya, you might respond to that, please.
Sorry, it's about kind of leftover. And at the bottom of the paragraph, old name of WMO call remains there. So I want to change it to WMO call on stakeholders, blah, 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 just as in other parts of the document, 4.1. Thank you.
No, thank you. Coming back to Albert's point, well, I think that's a good catch, actually. We could actually, after Executive Council and before oversight, add, advice. Will provide advice, oversight and blah, 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 and the rest follow. So thank you for catching that, Albert.
Thank you very much. Well done, Albert. Arlene Lang is seeking the floor.
Thank you, Chair. We wanted to note the same issue that we had with the document earlier this morning, and that is to include marine and environmental services here, the same phrase that we had recommended to be edited in the previous document, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we might add that reference here again, please. Thank you. Thank you very much. We might move on. Okay, we might move on then to the next paragraph, please. I will just read it out. So if you could scroll down to the paragraph starting with specifically, thank you very much. So just going to read it out. Specifically, JAG AI will focus on WMO activities for the promotion and acceleration of the integration of AI into the value chain for weather, climate, water, and relevant environmental services, aiming at the timely delivery of quality assured products, contributing to the goals of the Early Warnings for All initiative. So has anybody any objections to the changes that have been suggested there? Elena, floor is yours.
Much to keep consistency, please cut water and replace with hydrological and marine and relevant, because already this was exposed.
Thank you very much. So
One way to actually simplify things, we should have thought about that better. We could spell all that out, or we could simply say that the JAG will focus on WMO activities for the promotion and acceleration of the integration of AI into the expanded World Weather Watch value cycle. And that would essentially cover everything. And there's an explicit reference in the strategic plan for that. In my view, that would make the text a lot simpler, actually.
We should make that change throughout that.
Well, ultimately, that should be it. But at a minimum, we can do it here. I'm not overly worried with the consistency elsewhere.
Okay, so we've a suggested rephrasing from Michelle, which is you might inform COPS what the suggested wording is. Michelle, please.
I'm sorry. So essentially into the expanded World Weather Watch value cycle. And then we don't need, an explicit reference to everything else. And we could delete services included. We could delete services. Aiming for the timely delivery and blah, blah, blah. Recalling everybody that the World Weather Watch is not only about the observation, the data exchange, the data processing, but it is also, there is an explicit reference in the convention about the provision of application, product, and services. So in my view, that would simplify the text, but I'm okay as well with spilling all that out. So
thank you very much.
I'm in your hand on that.
Thank you. And I'll hand over to the president of CERCOM.
Funny enough, Michelle might have answered my concern possibly. I think we'll have to check the definition of what the World Weather Watch actually incorporates, because there's a risk here that by doing, as Michelle suggests, and I'm all for coming up with a nice, concise way of doing this rather than having to write the whole thing out every time. But there are obviously many service applications like automatic scripts from AI and all the rest of it, which we wouldn't want to accidentally leave out the scope of those considerations. So yeah, again, just a bit of caution that by oversimplifying with World Weather Watch, we do miss out potentially some really important application areas like automatic scripts and what have you that we do actually want within scope. It would be great if we could come up with an easy way of actually capturing weather, climate, hydrological and related environments in a nice succinct way. I agree. Thank you.
Michelle.
To me, it doesn't matter. As I was saying, I'm okay with the original text. I mean, given the time, I would essentially, just drop my proposal.
Let's revert.
And let's revert back to the original text.
Thank you very much. So we're removing the expanded World Weather Watch value cycle, and we are reverting back to the original text. Okay. Right then. Thank you for that. Very useful discussion nonetheless. So I don't see anybody seeking the floor, so we can take that paragraph as accepted. So next we can move on to the bullet points under purpose A, B, C, and D. Okay, so we might just finalize on A, B, C, and D.
Apologies for taking the floor again. Under B, identify issues that need to be addressed for members. I guess it's more than members, actually. It is for designated centers as well. So I'm not exactly sure how we can, because it's not reflected in any other bullet. So let me try to.
Okay, so I suggest what we do in the interest of time is we establish a drafting committee. We've progressed this text to quite a large extent, so it's a high quality text, but nevertheless there are a lot of issues that need to be addressed and sorted out. And I don't think the EC is the environment to do that in the most optimal way the most optimal way possible. So I would be proposing that we establish a drafting team to go through this particular these terms of reference and the modality of work and all the definition of the JAG, and then to bring it back to EC in a more completed form that everybody's more comfortable with. I think we've had a good discussion so far, but we've only taken it so far. We've taken it as far as we possibly can, I think, in EC. So has anybody any objection to forming a drafting committee at this point? Okay, I don't hear anybody objecting to that. So just one moment, please, while I just check something. Okay, so for those who are interested in participating in the committee, you might just contact NIR and we can submit your name. You might submit your names to NIR and we will identify a chair in the coming few minutes. That's what we're working on at the moment. Okay, folks, listen, thanks very much. We might actually just close item 4.1 and leave it there. And we will continue it on later in the day or later in the week. So apologies. So next we move on to the next item. Just one moment, please. Okay, so folks, we're moving on to item 4.2. That's recognition of WMO Centennial Observing Stations. So, right then, folks. So now we're dealing with document 4.2. And the purpose of the document is to recognize centennial observing stations to promote sustainable observational standards and best practices that facilitate the generation of high quality data time series and it contains just one draft. And I invite Pierre Heckler to introduce the document and to also introduce draft resolution 4.2/1. Over to you, Pierre.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. So you know that WMO has been recognizing meteorological, hydrological, and marine observing stations with more than 100 years of observations as WMO Centennial Observing Stations. And WMO has recognized so far 455 stations around the world from all regional associations, including also Antarctica. And usually the Secretariat sends out every second year a call for members to nominate stations for Centennial Stations recognition. And the last call had been sent out in November 2023. And the recognitions have been done by EC 78 last year. But some members sent in their nominations rather late, and we were not able to table it at the last Executive Council. So we kept it for this year. And the advisory board for the recognition of Centennial Observing Stations did an assessment of the remaining stations in March this year. And meanwhile, we received very few additional nominations, even without a call from members. So we decided to also take these nominations into account. So in the end, 25 nominations from 6 countries have been assessed by the advisory board, and the resolution 4.2/1 now invites the Executive Council to decide to recognize 20 candidate observing stations, which are listed in the annex to this resolution. And you may also note that in the preamble of this resolution, you find a link to the assessment of the advisory board. So there is full transparency about the process. Eventually, I would like to note that we received 2 submissions, interventions from members from China and from the US. And for some reason, there was an oversight from my side, and I would like to ask the Vice President to invite the delegations from China, the EC member from China and the EC member from the US to intervene from the floor. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Piers. So as prompted, I invite Dr. Chen to make an intervention from the floor in relation to Centennial Stations. The floor is yours.
谢谢副主席。我们针对案文提出了2条修改建议。由于目前案文中尚未体现，我们在会上来做一个补充说明。首先，在 noting 注意到段落中，我们建议新增第3条，表述如下 ：That some members have established national recognition mechanism of long-term observation stations, and that WMO has issued certificates acknowledging stations with over 75 years of continuous observations. 这段修订呢，主要是基于2023年世界气象大会通过的针对75年以上气象观测站的国家认可机制。这个机制呢，进一步拓展了长期观测站的认定范围。我们注意到，部分会员已参考 WMO 长期观测站认定标准和机制，在本国建立了相应的国家认可体系，并正式向秘书处提交了认定名单，以获取认证证书。我们建议秘书处对此类台站名录予以公布，并将其列入 WMO 百年站候选站点名单。第2个修正是建议是在，请转到要求秘书长段落。我们建议在 further 一词和后面增加 improved and， 因为在目前的机制下，可能存在部分百年台站未能完全满足全部标准而错失申请机会。而百年站认定对于推动各国保护长期观测台站具有重要的作用。我们提请 WMO 审慎考虑修订认定机制，使其更加的灵活便捷，切实促进可持续且高质量的长期地球系统观测。谢谢。
Thank you very much, Dr. Chen. And I understand, oh yes, I can see that COPS is including that suggested change to noting in the document as we speak. Right then, and I'll also ask the advisors to Ken Graham to take the floor as well, please.
Thank you. That was generous of the Secretariat. We were just really late on this one, so apologies for having to do this from the floor. So we would like to change under acknowledging in the third sentence. Okay, in acknowledging, correct, third sentence, first word, heritage. Could we change that to information? Because that is a more universally recognized word and more inclusive. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to take the floor in relation to this particular resolution, or the changes and the late submissions that have been made by both China and the United States? I don't think I see anybody else seeking the floor. Nope. Right then, so I think with your permission, I will propose to declare Resolution 4.2/1 adopted and document 4.2 adopted. Thank you very much. Next, we move on to 4.3, item 4.3, and this relates to the World Climate Research Programme. And we're now dealing with document 4.3, as I mentioned, and it's titled World Climate Weather Research Programme, the WCRP Science and Implementation Plan. So the purpose of this document is to follow up on the WCRP Strategic Plan 2019 to 2028 with the endorsement of WCRP Science and Implementation Plan, and it contains just one draft resolution. And I'd like to invite Chair of the Research Board, Professor Amanda Lynch, to introduce the document and also to introduce draft resolution 4.3/1. Over to you, Amanda.
Thank you, Chair. If we could have the PowerPoint slide. So, colleagues, so we're introducing to you the World Climate Research Programme Science and Implementation Plan. Next slide. I think there is one more. There we go. So the purpose of today's agenda item is to endorse this Science and Implementation Plan. The plan recognises the need to provide the science, knowledge and understanding required to address pressing issues in the climate space. And this is a program of long-standing that is co-sponsored by the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO and the International Science Council. And so with this document, we're seeking endorsement of the World Meteorological Organization to go along with the existing endorsements by the other two co-sponsors. That's all we need. So with that, I'll open the floor to the document itself. And I think we have one modification that's been suggested.
Thank you very much. Before we go to the document, we'll just open the floor for any comments that people might have. We have Penny Endersby.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you to Professor Lynch. I've got one general point and then one point which will come in the document, but I might do it while I have the floor. We understand that WCRP is facing financial challenges, so we would be grateful if the Secretariat could provide an update on the latest situation, what mitigations are being explored, and in a worst case scenario, how they intend to prioritise the proposed work. And then as we're not editing the plan, I do notice that in section 3.2.5 of the plan, the lighthouse activity on climate intervention includes both solar radiation monitoring and greenhouse gas removal. Could WMO ensure that a clear distinction is made between the two? Unlike solar radiation modelling, greenhouse gas removals are internationally recognised by the IPCC and the UNFCCC as integral to reaching net zero emissions, with countries developing policies to scale up greenhouse gas removals. So these two things are likely to have different co-benefits and consequences in different governance processes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the first question relates to the financial implications of the constraints we're all facing and the mitigations and prioritizations of work. Over to you.
Thank you very much from the delegation, from the UK delegation. So the first question is, yes, you're quite right that WCRP's finances, our income comes from several different sources from the WMO. We get some funds from our other co-sponsor IOC UNESCO. And then we get several grants or several contributions from the International Science Council membership, including from, I think, 11 different countries. Now, because of the geopolitical situation that WMO is also facing, our funds for next year, for 2026, predicted income has been cut by about 60%. We're aware of this. And of course, so the budget for next year is significantly reduced. We are using part of our reserve because we work from a trust fund, and we do have a reserve. So we're using about 30% of our reserve to ensure our key activities are able to operate as we would like them to. So WCRP, for example, produces the scenario runs for the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change as part of the CMIP, which are absolutely crucial. So we have many crucial activities that we need to ensure do carry on. Many of our other activities are going to be asked or are being asked to work in a more COVID-like situation, i.e. online, for a lot of their major meetings. Added to this, we've put together a fundraising committee, which Daniel Cole from WMO Resource Mobilization is included in. In fact, we have a meeting later on this week with some of the private sector from the finance industries who are advising us on various avenues that we can pursue. So moving ahead, we are taking into prioritization, reducing our costs, but also looking at alternate sources of funding. As to the second question, yes, we have what we call a lighthouse activity, by which we mean a sort of 10-year length activity focused on a particular issue. And one of these is on the research on climate intervention. It only covers the research. It doesn't go into governance or any other issues. And as the PR from the UK pointed out, that's focused on carbon dioxide removal and solar radiation management. Those have two different chairs. We have two co-chairs, one focused on each, and they're separate groups looking into these matters. But we are only focused on the research of these activities. We do not go into the governance issues. So hopefully that answers your questions.
Thank you very much to the Secretariat. Right then, I don't see anybody else seeking the floor. So Amanda, we can open up the document, and you mentioned there was one suggested change. So you might talk us through that, please.
Okay, so if we could scroll down to the document. So we've had no changes until the requests clause. Yeah.
So we're scrolling down to requests, please.
Yeah.
I think we need intervention from the floor.
Yeah.
Oh, apologies.
There is no, it's an addition. Oh, it was done later.
Yes.
Got it. Sorry, excuse me.
Okay, so we'll take
Clarification.
we've a request for the floor from, I think, Ken Graham's advisor. Over to you.
Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. Again, apologies to the committee, to the chair and to the chair of the research board and secretariat. So we are adding a request, so there's no requests. I will read it very slowly. I do know it was sent in, so if you need the exact words, we can grab it from the email, but it is requests the WCRP. Oh, sorry, it's between takes, yeah, there you go. Continue to update the science and implementation plan. So those are capitalized, yes. Recognizing the need for the WMO to prioritize resource allocation, comma, focus on its core mandate, comma, and deliver unbiased scientific insight. So we added this point just to reiterate that it's essential that we remain focused on providing the research to support members' mandates and operational mandates versus policy. There's one other as well, so should I just continue? Okay.
Yes, please, yeah.
We recommend then therefore changing notes to it, or sorry, endorses to notes. Just because it's a living document, which we know will change over time. We heard one such suggestion previously. So we think it's just more appropriate to note than endorse. And we understand that this is consistent with the rest of the members' bodies that are asked to look at this. So IOC, et cetera, don't endorse the plan. They note it as well. So just for consistency across the organizations. Thanks.
Thank you very much. We've captured all those, and they're the only interventions or suggested changes to the document.
Yes, yeah, and they're, I think they're entirely consistent with the goals of the plan. I would only editorialize that scientific insight by definition should be unbiased, but it's not bad to remind ourselves of that.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to take the floor in relation to this particular document and resolution? Or these suggested changes? I don't see anybody seeking the floor.
We do have one small editorial suggestion by the Secretariat, which is under having considered the endorsement of the Research Board and that the document has also been endorsed by the other WCRP sponsors, simply because this has already occurred, and so that's an more accurate statement.
Okay.
It's also been rather than being. Thank you.
Okay, so that's ensuring the document is right up to date in relation to the IOC and UNESCO and ISC, etc. Okay, very good. Right then, so unless anybody has any objection, I am proposing that we adopt this draft resolution 4.3/1 and that we adopt document 4.3. Has anybody any objection to that particular proposal? No, well, that's accepted. Thank you very much. And Thank you very much, Amanda, and good luck with that. So next we move on to agenda 4.4, and now we're looking at the World Weather Research Programme, and we're looking at document 4.4, and it's the WMO statement on weather modification. And the purpose of this document is to endorse the WMO statement on weather modification as prepared by the WCRP. The statement was reviewed and adjusted by PAC, you might recall, PAC members, and it has a one draft resolution we'll be considering. So again, Amanda is the chair of the research board. Professor Lynch will be introducing the document and also will be introducing the draft resolution 4.4/1. So over to you again, Amanda.
Thank you. And if I could have the PowerPoint. So on the next slide, please. Thank you. So to provide a little history, the Congress in 2007 established an expert team to develop an understanding about and statement of weather modification as a research field. And this expert team was tasked to regularly review and update that statement on weather modification, but the statement has not been updated since 2008. And so the revised version considers several new activities related to this topic, as well as providing a brief overview of inadvertent weather modification, links to climate intervention, although we do not deal with climate intervention specifically, as that is the purview of WCRP, and the socio-economic and environmental considerations from the science standpoint. The revised statement is supported by the World Weather Research Programme Scientific Steering Committee, and it has been reviewed and endorsed by the Research Board. So the statement on weather modification is a statement of the task team, which has been endorsed by those two higher bodies and is now presented to the Executive Council.
Thank you very much. Would anybody like to take the floor before we dive into the document and the resolution? I don't think I see anybody seeking the floor. Okay, so back to you, Amanda, and you might talk us through the document and point out where there are suggested changes, etc.
Do you want to lead it through? No.
No, you might just go through the proposed changes.
I was offering to Estelle.
Apologies.
Okay, so this is the draft resolution 4.4/1, the WMO statement on weather modification. And so the preamble to this resolution is to provide the historical context that I outlined to you, and reaffirms that the WMO is adopting a neutral position on the activities of weather modification, and that we seek in presenting this statement to present our best understanding of the science at present. So if we could scroll down. Too far. So and so the preamble continues, having considered the endorsement of the research board, having examined the updated statement and noting that we neither promote nor discourage the practice of weather modification, we are encouraging the floor to support the work of the expert team and to note the statement as recommended by the board.
So we might
Where
just
are
move
the
to the first change then.
Yeah.
Is it highlighted using track changes
Yes.
on the screen?
So
thank you.
So in terms of the changes to the statement as a whole, and I just wanted to note at the outset that this annex is the annex that was created by the expert team and approved by the research board. And as a result, some of the changes that we're going to be looking at here may not necessarily be reflected in what was considered by the expert team in terms of the literature. And so I'll be flagging that. So here in section 1.4, there are some changes that were proposed by Jim. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can maybe just mention that it was just China and we give the floor.
Yeah. Yes, that's, yeah, that was.
Thank you very much. So what we might do is we might give the floor to Dr. Chen, who is invited to outline the proposed changes to this particular document. The floor is open to you, Dr. Chen.
好，谢谢主席。关于这一点的修改，主要是考虑到长期以来，中国包括中国在内的，我们持续在冰雹多发区开展了高炮的防雹作业，也随着包括相控阵雷达等精细化观测技术的发展，中国部署了更多组网的相控阵雷达观测系统，并且开展了多年的防雹作业观测实验。通过这些实验，科学家对爆炸效果对防雹的影响进行了深入研究，也取得了一些同行评议的可信结果。所以我们建议在这个高炮防雹，通过爆炸效应的高炮防雹的正效果有所体现。谢谢主席。
Thank you very much. So you might outline the changes in the document just to explain them so that people are aware of them, and then we can open the floor for any comments, etc. Is that's okay, Amanda, with you? Okay. So I'll leave it to you, Amanda, to maybe describe all the changes that have been proposed. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Estelle de Koning and I'm the Chief of the World Weather Research Program, and I work with this expert team on weather modification. So the document, as you see it here, was prepared since 2023, and in the middle of 2024, this was submitted for approval by the World Weather Research Program Scientific Steering Committee. With some changes and suggestions, it was approved and it went to the research board for their approval. And again, some suggestions, some changes, and it was endorsed by the research board. Subsequently, it went to PAC, some suggestions, some changes, and then we have the document that we have here. We have some comments throughout the document, some a bit more technical in nature, some a bit more editorial from China. And I know that this morning Australia sent through some comments on those comments. So I know that they would like to make some suggestions as well. So I'm not sure if we should go into each of these at the moment. Of course, some of them are editorial and can be accepted, but some are a bit more substantive. And I think Australia had a specific view on that. So I don't know if we want to go through that first, Mr. President.
Okay, the floor is open to Mr. Johnson, Andrew Johnson's advisor, to make comments on the suggested changes.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, for the opportunity to explain some additions that Estelle referenced just now that we've submitted this morning. To begin, Dr. Johnson would like to thank the chair of the research board and recognise the work of the WWRP expert team on weather modification in developing this statement. We are hesitant to specifically amend the contents of a technical document that has gone through quite extensive consultation, but there were some changes that we felt that are more of a technical nature that we felt we wish to provide comment on that have been put forward in the last few days. So in response to the amendments proposed specifically on the developments in the field of hail suppression by explosion. That's one of our particular comments. I can just summarise it here, that whilst we acknowledge the early scientific research on this, such research is extremely limited and it was only published very recently. So we've got some proposals with respect to how to refer to that research as preliminary research and to clarify that. So that's incorporates updates to paragraphs 4.3 in the executive summary and an update to paragraph 4.4. And so our proposed wording intends to acknowledge the recent developments while simultaneously emphasising that the concept requires further verification and evaluation. And we also note that the presented statement is not intended to promote or endorse any form of weather modification, instead to only provide a statement on the science behind the various forms known. And subsequently, we've proposed that there is a reversion to the original text in section 3.1.1, 3.11, sorry. There are proposals. We have proposals in sections 4.3 and 3.11.
Thank you very much. And can we see this proposed text? Is these proposals from?
Here we are.
So this is.
Yeah. 4.3, if you could tell us your text.
Oh.
Sorry, Chair, would you like me to read through the amendment? Okay. So the suggestion here at 4.3 is to remove the proposed text and replace it with, and I'll speak slowly so that it can be recorded, field experiments of artillery are being carried out in some regions to test an explosion-based method to suppress hailstorms. Further research is needed to verify the conceptual model and effectiveness of the explosion-based mechanism. That's our proposed alternative text for 4.3. We did send this text in earlier to plenary.
Okay, while those changes are taking place, I think we have Penny Endersby seeking the floor.
Thank you very much, Chair. And I really wanted to make a point at a more high level than the detailed changes. I'd like to just follow up on the point that the Chair of the Research Board made, that this was a report that was developed by an expert team and then reviewed by an expert body. And this council, wise though we all are, we are not experts in this field. And I have concerns that we are editing the carefully reviewed conclusions of a scientific expert group in council. And then we're not even giving the expert body an opportunity to check that what we've said is correct. And I don't feel this is the right thing for us to be doing. I think we either need to endorse this document as it stands or send it back for further review. One compromise position might be to endorse it with a request for further updates alongside in future years, because it is a developing area. But I feel we are somewhat exceeding the remit of Executive Council here and potentially going outside the limits of our own competence, certainly beyond the limits of mine.
Thank you very much. We have Roar Scallon, and then I think we've Arlene Lang. So over to Roar.
Thank you, Chair. And in fact, Penny Andersby said the same as I would say, just much more well articulated. I fully support the intervention by Penny Andersby. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Arlene Lang.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to support what was said by Professor Endersby, because this is a document that has gone through an expert team's contribution with in that process. I believe they would have checked through the literature and be able to make some determination with regard to the efficacy or any kinds of claims that would be made in this field. And so I'm rather uncomfortable with us making those kinds of technical and scientific changes here and providing in some cases references to publications that we do not have a copy of. So I'd rather not us do this here. Perhaps the best thing to do would be to return the document to the expert team and have them consider the modifications that have been proposed, and then they could return then to this body or some other body like the research board again to have these matters be considered. I don't think this is the appropriate place to try to make those kinds of changes.
Thank you very much, Arlene. And Sarah Jones. And so we'll take Sarah Jones. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, supporting the comments that have just been made. I do think a good way forward is to endorse the statement with a date stamp when this statement was completed, and at the same time request the Research Board, the World Weather Research Programme, to address the questions that have been raised and report back with an assessment of the science base of the additions that members would like to see.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Kenneth Graham's advisors.
We concur with all of the previous speakers and the reasons that they give. Thanks.
Thank you very much. So we appear to have a consensus forming that we, Jikungu, the floor is yours. David.
Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity. I'm in agreement with the suggestions. And I also want to add that there's never any perfect work. And I think this forum gives us an opportunity to air our views. What probably we shouldn't do is write into the paper, but from what has been presented, I think it is in order to give our views, and we do not have to agree with all the views that have been given. The paper itself, I think I've gone through it, and there are indications that there were some challenges, and they are clearly pointed out. So I think this is a good forum to also make our views known as far as this particular research is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David, for that perspective. Virginie Schwartz.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Comme d'autres, je partage l'inconfort à l'idée de modifier ce document qui a été étudié par des experts. Mais parmi les options qui ont été évoquées et compte tenu justement de l'intensité des discussions sur ce sujet, je voulais exprimer une préférence pour l'option qui serait d'adopter ce document aujourd'hui en demandant à ce qu'il soit régulièrement actualisé et qu'effectivement il puisse intégrer les évolutions de la science plutôt que de repousser à nouveau son adoption, sachant qu'il est depuis longtemps en attente d'une évolution et que je crois que déjà tel qu'il est, avec toute la richesse qu'il apporte, il peut amener pour l'ensemble des membres des éléments importants que nous pourrons utiliser dans les discussions et les travaux auxquels nous participons chacun dans nos domaines. Merci.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think a picture is beginning to form here where we perhaps approve the original document, the timestamp document. And the reason we choose that document is because it has gone through this process since 2023, I understand, and right through 2024, being worked on by the Joint Steering Committee and the Research Board, and had been considered by PAC. So it's gone through a process. These other issues and challenges that have been added to the document are more up to date. They're from more recent publications. So we have a suggestion here to conduct another review and to update the document again. But nevertheless, we'd want to avoid a scenario where we send the document back, it never gets endorsed, and the document is never available. So I would be proposing that we timestamp the original document, the unmodified document, if you don't mind, to take into account the process, and then to take all the challenges that have been presented by Dr. Chen, and then to send those back to the advisory team for them to take those on board, and then to update the document again in light of the most up-to-date peer-reviewed science and other available scientific work and activities and developments in the field, and report back to Executive Council. Is that acceptable, first of all, to these people? Okay, would that be acceptable to Dr. Chen? Thank you very much for your challenges. That's really useful. And as David said, this is the environment where we share those perspectives and challenges in order to progress knowledge and to improve this area of activity for everybody. So thank you very much for that. So that's an agreed approach then. Okay, so I'm not too sure how we record that. We'll record that in the proceedings, I presume, in some shape or form. Just 1 second, please.
In the general summary,
okay. So we are adopting so in order to proceed, Stefano was suggesting that we note the discussion in document 1, and we can note what the decision we've made. But what I'm proposing now is that we adopt the unmodified document, and we are giving clear instruction to the technical team to take all these views and all the most up-to-date research and then come back with an updated document again for consideration at a later date. Okay, thank you. So I'm proposing that we adopt this document. Has anybody any objection? Okay, thank you very much. That's that document adopted. Thank you very much for that. I think that's a very pragmatic way forward. Right then, thanks to everybody on that one. Next, we move on to the next item on the agenda, which is 4.5, and that's the designation and reconfirmation of WMO regional training centres. And this is document 4.5. It's titled Designation and Reconfirmation of WMO Research Centre, Regional Training Centres. And the purpose of this document is to maintain an up-to-date list of RTCs, and it has one draft resolution. And I'd like to invite the Vice Chair of the CDP, the Capacity Development Panel, Carla Gulizia, who's online, I think. Oh, hello, Carla. And Carla is going to introduce the document and the draft resolution 4.4/1. So over to you, Carla. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I will ask if you can kindly put on screen my slides. Thank you. So next slide, please. Okay, so just to put you in context first, the 48th Executive Council introduced continuous monitoring for the regional training centers through a two-step formal review every 2 financial periods, that is 8 years, consisting on one hand of a self-assessment by the RTCs to evaluate performance and identified improvements, which is followed then by an on-site or virtual review conducted by an expert team. In this sense, the external team assesses training, resources, and improvements, and this external review is conducted by a team of experts, including a representative nominated by the EC Capacity Development Panel, a local representative designated by the permanent representatives of the RTC hosting members, and a representative appointed by the Secretary General, ensuring a balanced, independent, and inclusive evaluation. So then the reviews follow criteria in WMO number 49, Volume 1, Appendix B. These reviews are guided by the technical regulations, this publication number 49, Volume 1, Appendix B, and outlining the official criteria for the RTC designation and reconfirmation. And the external review evaluates the RTC's training quality, facilities, staffing, operational impact, and implementations of previous recommendations. Then the EC Capacity Development Panel reviews the findings and advises the EC on designations. And in this sense, the review reports is submitted to the EC Capacity Development Panel, and then advises, as I was mentioning, the EC on maintaining or updating or withdrawing the RTC's designation. In order to considering the recommendations of the EC Capacity Development Panel, the draft resolution 4.5/1 decides to reconfirm the status of the existing regional training centers in Argentina, in Brazil, in the Islamic Republic of Iran, in Nigeria, and in Peru. Also to designate a new component for the existing regional training center in Nigeria, to extend the status of the remaining regional training centers until the subsequent EC resolutions follow the future external reviews of these RTCs, and to approve the updated list of the RTCs, which you can find it in the annex of this resolution. So back to you, Chair, to open the floor for any comments or to go directly to see the document.
Thank you very much, Carla. The floor is open for any comments that people might have, please. It's a very clear presentation. So I don't see anybody seeking the floor. I think there was one minor correction that we might highlight in the table.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In fact, when we submitted the document, after we submit the document, we received a letter from PR of Indonesia for renaming the hydrology component of the RTC in Indonesia. So at the moment we have the the previous name, but we were expecting the RTC, I mean the Professor Kanawati or her advisor to make this intervention. Otherwise, we will keep it as it is. But there was a letter from Professor Kanawati afterwards, and maybe this gentleman.
Well, thank you very much for this acknowledgement. And the name is remain the same. We don't change that. That's it. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Well, thanks very much, Carla. So what I am proposing is that we move to adopting these resolutions. So that's draft resolution 4.5/1. I'm proposing we adopt that. Has anybody any objection? I don't see anybody raising their hand or their flag, so that's adopted. And I will also declare document 4.5 adopted. So that's second bang of the gavel. Thank you very much, folks. Okay, so we'll take a short break for 10 minutes. So we'll see you back at 15:55. At 15:55. Thank you very much. Welcome back, everybody. So I'll be returning to document 4.1, and we will be discussing recommendation 4.1/1 in a minute. But before that, I will update you on the drafting committee. It'll be forming, it'll be meeting at 5:30 in C2. It'll be focusing, of course, on the annex, which is dealing with the terms of reference for the JAG. And I'm going to hand over to Nir to give us some details in relation to that particular area of activity of the committee at the moment.
So we got several members that are interested to join. Please feel free to join as well, those that didn't communicate. As was said, 5:30 C2. C2. Thanks. And of course, Christoph agreed to lead this drafting team.
Thank you very much. And thanks to Professor Appenzeller for agreeing to act as the chair of this drafting group. That's greatly appreciated. Right then, so it's 5:30 in C2. Okay, right. So now, as promised, we're going to continue on with the fourth part of document 4.1. And we're going to be dealing with the draft recommendation 4.1/1. And this is on this is the artificial intelligence roadmap for the WMO WIPS system. So, and I'm going to invite Michel Jean to present that particular recommendation. So over to you, Michel.
Thank you very much. I guess I will not repeat what I have said earlier. This is, I guess, the second component of the technical aspects that are required to put a solid footing to the technical work that we want to do collectively on AI. I will not go through the justification. I think we've been talking about that for 2 days now, so we should be up on that. We did develop a roadmap. We can call it something different, and we will see through the discussion of the paper that there has been some proposal to that effect. But nonetheless, we do need a foundational piece to initiate the work, and this is what we're presenting to you today to get your feedback. And therefore, we will be asking EC to request the president of the commission, the commission per se, to further update that draft roadmap. And of course, the final objective of all that is to incorporate artificial intelligence into the WMO integrated prediction and processing systems. And we are asking EC to recommend the WMO Congress to update the updated roadmap. So with this, I will stop, and we should be opening the document. And I will ask the Secretariat to go through the change that have been presented, if it's okay with you, Chair.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Michel. We'll just open the floor in case anybody has any comments they'd like to make before we go through the document. I don't see anybody seeking the floor. So we'll hand back to yourself and the Secretariat to talk us through the different proposed edits that we have that have been provided in relation to this document. Back to you, Michel.
So thank you very much. So I will go through the changes. I guess we had Dr. Nomura, Professor Nomura, with a proposal to actually change the title of the document. So I will give would like, with your authorization, we'll proceed. Dr. Nomura, please, if you could provide the rationale, which, by the way, makes sense to the president of the commission. So please, Dr. Nomura, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. これかな。これだよね。
Sorry. Thank you for giving us the floor. So, as we, provide a number of the amendment proposal, so would you allow us to make one intervention, summarizing what we propose? That makes sense?
Yes, please go ahead.
Sorry. I propose that the roadmap should be treated as an INF document. The current contents of the roadmap seems to be a list of key issues and the challenges that need to be resolved when using the AI Earth System Prediction, AI-ESP, rather than a roadmap. So the title should also be changed to issues and challenges for incorporating AI-ESP technologies into the WIPs. これも全部 Sorry. However, recognizing that the risk questions are highly useful, I propose that INFCOM is requested to develop technical guidelines on the use of AI-ESP that address those questions on key issues and challenges. In addition, the roadmap includes key issues and challenges beyond the mandate of INFCOM, such as 3.5 applications and 3.8 partnership and ethical consideration. I propose deleting these sessions in order to clearly define the scope of the work for developing the technical guidances. Secondly, I propose changing the title of this recommendation and the resolution. The most important decision in the resolution is to develop a new WIPS strategy that incorporates AI into the WIPS framework. The title of the recommendation and the resolution should properly reflect this. Thank you.
Are there any views on this proposal? That doesn't seem to be the case, so let's scroll down the document. Whoop. Mr. Bayonne, so I presume I can give you the floor, but this is in line with all the comments we have made. It's a reference to background document, so that should be fine. Any objection to that? No. So let's keep scrolling down. Then under reaffirming 2, I guess, again, I'll give the floor to Mr. Advisor, to Mr. Bayonne, but again, I guess it's in line with the earlier discussion we've had.
Absolutely, yes, Mr. President. Thank you. It's relevant to also mention the activity related to the strategic objective 1.3, as already did in other part of the document. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for this. So let's keep going. Under recognizing 1, I think we understand the context, so that's fine. Let's go to 3. Oops. Yeah, same thing. So let's go under the noting. There's a formatting thing with the number 2. So number 3, so I think I would ask advisor to Mr. Bayonne to comment because this is important.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. This is just to highlight the activities that are led by CERCOM that are ongoing related to AI. Activities under SERCOM Standing Committee on Hydrology involves also other UN agency, and the Google AI pilot study has been already mentioned before in other part of the document and has been referenced in numerous WMO documents, including SERCOM 3, EC 78, etc., etc. So this demonstrates broad endorsement of this activity, and is important. It is worth to mention also the outcomes of this activity in this document. This is our proposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is a good addition, actually. So any views? That doesn't seem to be the case. So let's keep scrolling down. Okay, having examined, and I will give the floor to Professor Nomura, please. While you take the floor, I do understand that this is essentially in line with the overall comment that you have made at the beginning of the discussion. So am I correct?
Yes.
So thank you. Any comments on the proposed text? So I will read it. Having examined the draft issues and challenges for incorporating artificial intelligence-based Earth systems prediction technologies into WMO integrated processing and prediction systems, including the proposed approach to address them through WIP's pilot project, as provided in the INF document, as was proposed by Japan earlier. I do not see anybody requesting the floor. We have a further noting. Then we request INFCOM to develop a technical guideline on the use of AI ESP, addressing key issues and challenges, again, as presented in the INF document. And there has been additional comments by Mr. Bayonne, and it is in line with the comment that the advisor to Mr. Bayonne made earlier. So any issue with the wording? I see none. So let's go to the recommend to the World Meteorological Congress. The adoption of the annex to the present recommendation. And again, the rationale for this has been provided by Professor Nomura earlier. So I do not see anybody requesting the floor. So we're all in agreement with the text so far. So let's move to the annex to the draft recommendation. Again, the title has been changed. We've already agreed to that in the... So let's scroll down. So recalling one, and again, I could give the floor to the advisor, to Mr. Bayonne, but essentially this is in line with the earlier comments. So let's move to the recalling. Whoops. Okay, so recalling. Let's scroll down slowly. Let's keep going down. We're reaffirming, we have no comments there. So under recognizing, I guess the advisor to Mr. Bayonne already made the rationale for that, so we can scroll down. Under recognizing 2, this is only editorial, so we can scroll down. Under recognizing 3, it's an addition that is consistent with the rest of the document, so we can continue. Under noting 3 is a formatting thing. Noting 4, again, the rationale for this has been mentioned by the advisor to Mr. Bayonne a few minutes ago, so let's keep going. Having examined, so recommendation 4.1/1, Executive Council 79, the development of a new WMO integrated processing and prediction system strategy incorporating artificial intelligence. So Professor Nomura explained that earlier. So that's consistent. So having adopted in that context has been deleted. Therefore, we go to agree to, and I will read it. So there is an agree under bullet A new WIPS strategy to replace the WIPS collaborative framework and WIPS roadmap 2022-2026, taking into account, well, I guess the AI development rather than of AI development, but I'm not a native English speaker. I'll read it again. So agrees to a new WIPS strategy to replace the WIPS collaborative framework and WIPS roadmap 2022-2026, taking account of AI development. So we will fix, the English offline, so that should be okay. So in line with the comments that were made by Professor Nomura earlier, we changed the authorized by a request. INFCOM in consultation with the Research Board and SURCOM. And then the request one is as is. We request to develop a draft new WIPS strategy to replace the WIPS collaborative framework and WIPS roadmap 2022-2026, considering the technical guidelines on the use of artificial intelligence-based Earth systems prediction. I see nobody requesting the floor. We scroll down. We invite member, so no change under invite one. Invite two, again, I think the addition by Mr. Bayonne are to make this invite consistent with the rest of the intervention. Invite three, there's no change. So I don't see anybody requesting the floor. I'll just pause before going. Any comments from the Secretariat from that perspective? Please take the floor.
The first decide was about replacement, because to develop is one thing and to replace the current framework is a different thing. And I think that the comment there was, this is to develop, but the previous one, a little bit scroll up, to replace. Agrees to replace. So I think it's a little bit too early to replace what's working. We as far as I understand, we are not replacing the current framework. We're exploring new possibilities.
Okay, so I guess the proposal would be to I apologize for the words there, but to replace the word replace by, and Co, you just mentioned something.
Mine was agrees to develop a new WIP strategy.
Okay.
To replace.
Okay, so let's try, well, why don't you just dictate that?
Thank you. It would just be, I think, maybe the clarification that Nir's looking for is to say agrees to develop a new WIP strategy to replace eventually. Yeah.
Thank you for that. This is much clearer, actually. Okay, so I think we're in agreement with the text there. So let's continue to scroll down. I think that part of the document, we're done with it. So let's continue for, oops. Good. Okay, and we're down to the INF document, which we make a reference to the INF document further up in the decision part. So if we scroll through that, again, I will do my best to, so the title we've already discussed, it's consistent with everything we have changed so far. Let's keep going then. So we have an introduction. We have changed, of course, we're removing the reference to the roadmap. It's not a roadmap anymore. And we don't want to repeat the title. So the objective of the INF paper is, and then we go into the detail under the first paragraph there. And from my perspective, those comments are mostly editorial. So this makes the text read better. So I don't think we need to go through that. If we keep scrolling down. Section 3. Issues and challenges in using AI ESP by WMO members and its integration into WIPs. So there's nothing controversial there. If we go further in the paragraph, we see the reference to hydrology. We've already explained all that. So let's move to 3.1. Let's keep scrolling down. Under B, we have an addition by Dr. Graham about, and I will read it, can AI be used to create synthetic observations to fill in data gaps? How can this be done independently to avoid a feedback loop? That's a really good point, and I guess I don't see that as controversial. I'm not sure if the advisor to Ken would like to comment on this. From my perspective, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so let's keep going. Then under 3.2, prediction and post-processing, some specific questions. So you can scroll down. Under 3.3, verification, I think this is a good addition by Ken Graham, so I will read it. So verification of products produced using AI ESP models is essential to ensure that the model predictions are both reliable, accurate, and physically realistic. And you will recall that during the OCP discussion yesterday, we did make reference to that. So to me, this is a good addition. Let's keep scrolling down. Under B, the addition, while changing weather for meteorological and hydrological. So I think there's no issues there. Let's keep going. Under C, meteorological and hydrological, which makes the text consistent. So that should not be controversial. So under 3.4, let's keep scrolling down. Let's under 3.5 applications. So I guess it's, so let's keep scrolling down. So I will give the floor to Dr. Nomura to provide the rationale for removing 3.5. And in fact, I'm supportive of the proposal there, but I think it would be appropriate to share your views with the members here. So you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I said, so the roadmap includes key issues and challenges beyond the mandate of INFCOM. So 3.5 application and also as well as 3.8 partnerships and ethical consideration is also beyond the mandate of INFCOM. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the clarification, and I think it's a good suggestion. Anybody requesting the floor on 3.5 on 3.5 there? Albert, please.
Thank you so much, and also I would like to thank all these different additions for they are highlighting the text. But one thing is actually the general thing is regarding AI is when we put some wording regarding, for example, in the request is a general comment about what I'm trying to bring forward right now. We will find that we're talking about the issues and the challenges of AI. But also I would like to include, as was mentioned yesterday, that are also a lot of opportunities. So in the text, I would like you to consider adding also opportunities in the text and not only issues and challenges, because I think something to think about it for you. Thank you so much.
So thank you for this, Albert. Of course, we're in the hand of the EC members, so I think we can editorially do that. We can probably trust the Secretariat to, well, probably we can, I think, trust the Secretariat to do the addition there with your, unless there is disagreement. But it's a good thing. I mean, issues and challenges, there's always the counterbalance, which is opportunities associated with that. And we've discussed that yesterday. Okay, so let's keep going. Now we have the old 3.6, which becomes 3.5, so that's okay. 3.6. Let's keep scrolling down. Let's keep scrolling down so that we have all this. Let's just move a little bit further up. Okay, thank you. Whoop. Okay, thank you. I think Professor Nomura gave in the earlier part of his comment, the rationale to remove that service aspect, and I think that's okay. And he already provided the rationale to remove 3.8, as this is beyond the work of INFCOM. In fact, those are policy related things. So I think it should be not controversial. So let's keep scrolling down. So 4, we go into the WIPS, the AI-related WIPS pilot project. So we can scroll down. Advisor to Dr. Graham, please. So essentially the addition of text there. So if I read it before I give the floor, the project aims to assess the skill of AI-based nowcasting product through intercomparison and investigate the feasibility of real-time dissemination and technology transfer on a voluntary and mutually agreed terms to developing countries, which I think is a really good addition. So I see nobody requesting the floor, so let's keep scrolling down. Yes, Roar. So we've scrolled down quite a bit. So tell us where you want to go.
Yes, I think you want to go up again to 4.3 because the gap analysis need to be updated now that we have taken out 3.5 and 3.8, as well as some of the text needs to be deleted, I think.
Okay. So I think we can the secretariat can actually do that to make the document consistent. So I think that's fine. Thank you. Good catch, Roar. Let's keep scrolling. Oh, Professor Karnawati, please.
Thank you very much. Sorry. We would like to have further explanation related to the deletion of 3.8, that partnership and ethical considerations. We don't really understand about the rationale to delete that 3.8. Thank you very much.
So thank you. I will give the floor to Dr. Nomura in a second, but in a nutshell, the reason to remove it from the roadmap as it is right now is really related to the fact that as part of the technical work, it's not in the right place. So it will be dealt with, but somewhere else.
Oh, put in somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in my view, I guess it's probably too early to make a decision on this. And this was in essence what Dr. Nomura explained earlier.
Okay, so it means this consideration still addressed, but not in this 3.8. Thank you very much for the clarification.
Exactly. And you will recall that in the OCP discussion yesterday, under the many principles that will need to be explored as WMO move forward on the artificial intelligence front, the whole issue of the partnership and the ethical consideration of the use of AI in decision making were explicitly mentioned. So that would be dealt with, but not as part of this work. Okay, does that satisfy you? Okay. Thank you. So let's keep scrolling down. Where were we? Okay. So the table will be modified by the Secretariat as we've just agreed to. And 5 expected deliverables and milestones. So a lot of editorial things that we've already explained. So we've replaced roadmap by document, as explained earlier. Under 5A, I guess this is to make the text more precise, so we can scroll down. Under B, again, it makes the text more precise. So let's go to D. There is if we go there, the addition of hydrologist, that has been explained earlier. It's consistent with all the changes so far. Let's keep going. Then I will read the Standing Committee on WMO Integrated Processing and Prediction System will update the document when necessary. I see this is good. Professor Nomura indicated earlier that it's premature to actually talk about implementation. So therefore, the modification of the text is consistent with that comment. Any objection to that? Let's keep going. Then the next paragraph, I will read it again. The issues and challenges identified in the document will be regularly revisited, and the progress and good practices in incorporation, I guess, in the incorporation of AI, ESP into WIPS will be reported through the WIPS newsletter, which is published twice a year. So that should not be controversial. Albert, please.
No, I just want to remind you, like here is where we're putting the issues and the challenges. Thank you.
So we will trust that the Secretariat will do the proper editing there. Thank you. So let's keep scrolling down. And then the table, I guess that first change is to make the text consistent with the previous rationale provided by Dr. Nomura. So let's keep scrolling down. I think we're getting... Okay, so let's pause there. Let's see. So I think, Mr. Chairman, I think, and first of all, before I give you the floor back, I would really like to thank you for your support here. This is always a bit of a challenging exercise, but I think over the course of the day today on AI, I think I really appreciated all your views, comments, and the really relevant addition, modification to the text that makes it a lot more relevant. So my thanks for that. And back to you, Owen.
Thank you very much. That's excellent. I really appreciate your sharing of this particular part of the document. We've really managed to get through it very comprehensively and very thoroughly and in good time. So excellent work. Thank you very much, Michelle. Right then, so it appears we might be in a position to move to proposing that this draft recommendation 4.1/1 is adopted, unless anybody has any objection. I don't see anybody objecting. Okay. So, and we can leave the hopefully the anticipated adoption of the document until tomorrow, because we'll have to await the input from the JAG drafting team. So thank you very much. Right then. So in the interest of time, I'm proposing that we move to a few items. There's an item that was due for tomorrow morning, which is item number 5. And the reason I'm focusing on this is because this is a draft decision to be adopted without debate. Thank you very much, folks. So I'm proposing we move, if you don't mind, to that item on the agenda, just to use the time efficiently that we have available to us. So I don't see anybody objecting. So that means we are moving to item number 5, cooperation with the United Nations and other international organizations. And this relates to draft decision 5/1, which you can find in document 1. And you might recall that the organization, through the Secretary General and the Executive Council, establishes close cooperation with other international organizations, and draft decision 5/1 takes into note the arrangements with United Nations and other international organizations signed by the Secretary General in 2024, and also relevant updates and requests the Secretary General to issue a revised edition of WMO number 60 and to present the updated list of agreements at the 20th session of the WMO Congress CG20. So I remind members that the Bureau recommends that this is a draft decision to be adopted without debate. Therefore, I ask the concurrence of members to declare the decision adopted. I hope that you agree with this approach. So on that basis, I propose that we declare draft decision 5/1 adopted, unless anybody has any objection. I don't see anybody seeking the floor. So I'll go ahead and declare draft decision 5/1 adopted. Thank you very much. So I'm suggesting that we also move to item 7.2.4. And this is the agenda item, which is also to be adopted without debate, or proposed to be adopted without debate by the Bureau. And this item relates to the unified rules of procedure. So I'm suggesting we take that item now as well. Unless anybody has any comments. Okay, so we're moving to item 7.2.4. And this item relates to the harmonization of rules of procedure and terms of reference for bodies reporting to the Executive Council. And we're looking at document 7.2.4 with the same title, Harmonization of Rules of Procedure and Terms of Reference for Bodies Reporting to the Executive Council. And the purpose of this document is to improve methods of work and procedural process needed to support the work of the constituent bodies. The document contains two draft resolutions, Draft Resolution 7.2.4/1, and this provides the harmonized rules of procedure, and also Draft Resolution 7.2.4/2, which makes adjustments to the terms of reference of the bodies reporting to the Council to be consistent with the harmonized rules of procedure. So this document has been proposed also by the Bureau and PAC to be adopted without debate. So again, I ask members of the Council for your concurrence to adopt these two resolutions. That's Resolution 7.2.4/1 and Resolution 7.2.4/2. So I don't see anybody raising their hands, so I suggest that I declare both of these draft resolutions adopted, and I also declare document 7.2.4 adopted. Okay, thank you very much. So next, as we have 10 minutes left, I suggest we also consider the item 7.2.5, hydrological matters. And this is also another item which has been proposed by the Bureau for adoption without debate. So this is relates to the draft decision 7.2.5/1, which is described as the distribution of information to hydrological advisors. And you can find this decision in document 1. So the purpose of this decision is to ensure distribution of all information addressed to permanent representatives from the WMO Secretariat and also to hydrological advisors. And as mentioned, this document has been proposed by the Bureau to be adopted without debate. So unless anybody has any objection, I propose that we go ahead and adopt it without debate. This is draft decision 7.2.5/1. It's in document 1. Okay, so we can take that decision has been made to adopt that item. Okay, right then. So we might move on to the agenda item 7.3, which is also a decision to be proposed to be adopted without debate. And this relates to the theme of World Meteorological Day 2026. And this can be found in draft decision 7.3/1, theme for Meteorological Day 2026. And it is also in document 1. And the purpose of the draft decision is to adopt the theme for the establishment of annual World Meteorological Day, celebrated each year on the 23rd of March, as we all know. So, and this has been proposed by the Bureau to be adopted without debate also.
Let me say what it is.
And the theme is Observing Today, Protecting Tomorrow. Thank you very much. So it's up on the screen there, Observing Today, Protecting Tomorrow. So unless anybody has any objection, I propose that this draft decision in document 1 is adopted without debate. Thank you very much. Right then, thanks very much. I think we've exhausted what we can possibly clear up on the agenda in the last few minutes. So I'm going to hand over to Anthony, who might have a few announcements, and then we can declare the session closed. Over to you, Anthony.
Thank you very much. Just a reminder, which was already announced, that there's an event here in Salobasi following this, the Cryosphere of the Third Pole. And there is then following light receptions in Sal Day hosted by the Italian mission. And that's it for announcements.
Thank you, Anthony. So on that basis, I close the session for today. Thank you very much.